everybody. Kevin Harned, Carson Meredith here. We are tracking severe weather across parts of the area, and we're also keeping a very close eye on the massive flooding that we have ongoing. Wow, What a week it's been.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
unbelievable. Yeah. One of the worst flooding events we've seen in wave country for some of us since the flood of 97.
Yeah, and, they're watching it down along the banks of the Rolling Fork. Yes. Boston started to get cut off by water. We've got a number of towns being cut off by water. We're going to pass along all the river levels that we have for you coming up within this update. You're looking at, and we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning out, so let's go right to that. Let me just get you to the severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for Adair County. This also comes with that tag tornado possible. And let me explain why on that. I said we were tracking severe weather. This is it. Our southern counties most at risk for this. You can see that Boeing segment moving through Burkesville. Heavy wind with this. In fact, when we look at the velocity, you're going to notice the forward push of wind moving through that area. And, it's moving. It's going to approach Burkesville within the next few minutes. That's the strongest push of wind with that as we continue to track that off to the east. And that storm's moving. How fast was that roughly?
It's been going 50? About 50 to 60 throughout the afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a wind maker.
Yes.
There is small potential that we could see some rotation. We're not the only ones, by the way, tracking severe weather. Our colleagues from Memphis and Nashville. So Memphis, we're talking Tennessee. There's Ron Childers down at WMC. That's Action News 5. They're tracking storms. And again, I pointed out that we are not alone in tracking those, and neither is Ron. When you look over at all of the folks that we have across this part of the country tracking storms, it is a number of them. And in fact, in Nashville, you can see from our sister station, WSMV, they've actually had some damage. And these are emergency crews that you see at this apartment complex in Dixon County.
Yeah, Dixon County, if you're not familiar with Middle Tennessee, that's west of Nashville. If you're going down I-40 towards Memphis, Dixon County, you'll cross through there. There was right on that bow echo that is actually moving into parts of Adair County now. There was a little notch right on the leading edge of that bow echo earlier in Dixon County, Tennessee, and certainly looks like there's some sort of damage, be it tornado or straight line wind. We'll see.
Yeah, and just to go back to that, you can see some of that damage coming in, roof damage there. That's Tennessee. That's closer to the Nashville area. For us, we're along the Tennessee border. Our southernmost county is Adair County, and you are the ones that have seen the severe weather today and multiple times this week, by the way.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's been rinse and repeat, it seems, so many times, which is why we're all still here again. It's like it's the weather that would not end.
Never ends.
We are watching southern Adair County, but the bulk of this wind is going to go just to your south, it looks like. So some good news there. If we were to put the stats on it, you can see it's a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:15. That's Central Daylight Time. Wind gust up to, what's that say? 60 miles per hour.
With that tornado possible tag, there's been some rotation with this cluster of storms. It's not as strong as it was earlier, further off to our south. This is really an issue for southern Adair County. We're talking south of Columbia.
Yeah, for sure.
Just going to scoot on by. And really, once that little pocket of severe storms rolls out of Adair County, the severe storm threat will wind down for the rest of this evening. But of course, the historic flooding is not going anywhere. It's going to get worse.
No, that will get worse. I've circled on here sort of that pocket of the heaviest wind, and it's moving through the Burkesville area. Now, I suspect most of the wind is going to stay just south of that Adair County line.
I would agree.
So we'll continue to track that, but there's, it's not out of the question to see some wind lift right along there, but that pocket of heaviest wind is near the Burkesville area. So we're watching that for folks in Adair County. Just wanted to give you an update that, yes, we were keeping an eye on that. We're also keeping an eye, as Carson mentioned, on these rising waters. This is I-65 at the Joe Prather Highway. The Salt River always gets high, and wow, it's rare that you see it when you're driving down the interstate.
Yeah, it's gone up several feet since I showed this Trimark camera this morning on sunrise. So we may get close to a point where we have to start thinking about shutting down 65.
Well, let's
Let's
hope
hope not.
that doesn't happen.
Let's
That
hope
hasn't
not.
happened in a long, long time.
Yeah.
We do have more rain falling, probably on the order of another 1 to 3 inches
Mm-hmm.
across the viewing area, depending on where you are, because the rain doesn't end today. We still have
No.
tomorrow to go through with more rain.
And the rain's not going to be as heavy tomorrow, thank goodness,
Yeah, thank
right?
goodness.
That's why we don't have the alert day in place for tomorrow. The rain's not going to be as heavy, but it's still rain. And as waterlogged as we are, we really can't handle any more. It's just the lighter rainfall rates won't cause significant flash flooding issues like we're seeing tonight.
Right. And you're looking at the Ohio. Of course, this
Mhm.
is the Great Lawn. Everybody got the news today that Thunder over Louisville has been canceled for 2025. That's due to these floodwaters for the Ohio that will keep rising into maybe late next week. So it would create a dangerous situation just downtown in general, not just on the Great Lawn.
Yeah, and keep in mind, even if these floodwaters do start to recede, let's say it's a perfect world and the floodwaters start to go down by what would have been Thunder Day next Saturday. Think about all the debris that
Yeah,
we would have to
that's
clean up.
not going anywhere.
There was just no logistical option, unfortunately, to have Thunder this year. You folks would say, why not postpone it a week? Well, think about
Then you're into Easter.
You're into Easter weekend. You got LMPD, all the special details that they would have to sort out with traffic situations and things of that sort. You'd have to reschedule the air show participants. It just wasn't feasible, unfortunately. We'll try again next year.
Yeah, we've got cameras all over the place. We've got 10 of these SkyTrack cameras that we can control. This is on the other side of the river. This camera sits atop the Harbor's condominiums. That's Upland Grilling. That used to be the former Buckheads that you know. And you'd typically have to look down that hill from the parking lot to
Right.
see the river. But no, not now. It is almost in the parking lot. So it just gives you an idea of how high the Ohio is now. And we won't crest the Ohio until probably next Wednesday to Thursday.
Yeah, next Wednesday is the updated forecast crest for the Ohio River, at least this part of the Ohio. And keep in mind, Brian talks about this a lot. The Ohio River is an older river, which means it takes a little more time for it to rise and crest and a little more time to go down. These smaller rivers, they are surging already, especially the Rolling Fork down in Boston.
And there's no doubt, and our river always gets the last of the trickle in from those rivers, and it does take a while for it to come back up. I'm going to show you what that may look like with some inundation maps coming up. We talk about our alert days. These have been in place for more than a week now to say, hey, pay attention. We know you got a busy life, but over here, watch next Wednesday. Then it was watch Wednesday and Thursday. Then it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We had 4 of these things strung together this week. That's rare.
Very rare.
Outside of extreme heat or something that may not be as impactful, this really has been quite a stretch of days for us. We haven't seen something like this probably since like 2011.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen something on this magnitude. And again, we're optimistic we will not have an alert day tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
optimistic.
I mean, it doesn't mean the problems go completely away, right?
Exactly. So when we look at the info for the alert day, we will keep it in place throughout the night tonight because that persistent heavy rain is not going anywhere really until sunrise tomorrow morning. That's when those rainfall rates start to go down. We still got that window, I'd say, for another hour or so for a few severe storms. We have the severe thunderstorm warning for Adair County. Once that pocket of severe storms moves out of Adair County, I think we can sound the all clear when it comes to severe weather threat. Nonetheless, the slight risk is still in place.
Yeah, and that was in place just for the southern areas along and south of the parkways.
Right.
The reasoning has been what you've been seeing unfold over the last couple of hours with some of those stronger storms down that way. Again, the impact timeline that we've been watching, notice that red flashing line. We've gone through the severe from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now we're into Saturday, and we're right in the middle of the severe threat that will be ending shortly, but the flooding threat will persist. So we're almost in the clear of the severe, and the heaviest of the rain will end later tonight.
But let's emphasize, just because the flash flooding threat might be a little lower tomorrow, just because the heavy rain is gone tomorrow, folks, there are going to be impacts for days, if not weeks, especially along some of these rivers. If you live or have businesses near any of these rivers, there will be impacts for a long time, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is very true. You're looking at the latest watches, warnings that we have, a lot of flood warnings, and we expected this. We said from the very beginning that this flooding deal would be historic, catastrophic, life-threatening. we rarely use that terminology to
Right.
describe the weather. But when it comes to this flooding scenario, it's been all of those already. And we're not finished just yet. So you have to be weather aware. You have to make sure you can appreciate the power of Mother Nature. And it doesn't always mean tornadoes.
No.
So many times we talk about the different threats of severe weather, but flooding ranks among the highest of killing people.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Flooding is the number one killer when it comes to natural disasters. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think tornadoes or hurricanes or something
More than
like
most
that.
of those combined.
Exactly. So it can be a silent killer because you don't really think about it. You're going out and about your day. You know, a tornado strikes areas, flooding, it's much more widespread and it lingers for a long time. And let's just say, please, if you have to be out tonight, take it slow. You come up on some flooded roadways, don't even think about driving through them. It's hard enough to see how deep that water is during the day, but at night, forget about it. You're not going to be able to see.
So true, especially if the rain is coming down hard.
Right.
I found that last night. You know,
Did
I
you?
was driving home, whatever time this
When did
morning.
you leave last
I don't even know what day it is, to be honest.
I don't
It's
either.
kind of crazy. But it was pouring
Yes.
when I was going home, and I was like, man, I can barely see, the road. And I thought, I could imagine being on an old country road and it raining that
goodness.
hard. You think, I can get through that, and be like, oh my God, no, the road's not even there. So not only can't you see what's under the water on the road, but you can't hardly see the hood in front of you.
It's one of those flooding events where some areas that have never flooded have in a few spots.
Well, wait till you see some of this video
Yes.
we have. I'm going to show you that. We wanted to just sort of tackle this in phases. We see a lot of your comments. We are going to get to your questions the best we can. You see Carson checking the radar. I'm working this radar. So we're working a number of things. But here's sort of the plan. We're going to roll through this severe threat, which only includes extreme southern Adair County. That storm's almost out of there. You can see that's the lone severe thunderstorm warning we have until
it is until
7:30 their time?
8:15 Eastern, 7:15 down in Adair County.
So about another half hour or so left on that. You can see the rest of the area under the flood warnings.
Yes.
Looking at the velocity, still some strong wind, but again, the pocket of strongest wind is just south of Adair County. All right. There's the time on that as mentioned. So good. 7:15 will be the expiration time. Let's zoom out because this severe weather stretches all the way down into northern parts of Mississippi, eventually into Alabama. This is the final blast of the very heavy rain that we're tracking. To give you an idea of what it looks like down that way, let me just show you what some of our sister stations are doing. And I pointed this out at the top. This is Lisa Spencer out of WSMV. That's our station in Nashville.
Yeah, our sister station. They've been on the air for the last several hours tracking these severe storms. They moved out of the Memphis area into the middle part of Tennessee, which is covered, of course, by stations in Nashville. What you're looking at now is Action News 5, our sister station in Memphis. Ron Childers and the crew, they were literally on the air this morning when I came in, when you left.
Yeah.
And I think they've been on the air most, if not all day. Remarkable. They're going casual.
Yeah. Ron's decided I'm just going to put the polo on and go. I was like, I don't think Ron has changed in the last 3 days.
I tell you what, though, look at that supercell he's tracking.
Oh, I know. The hook right on
Goodness
that.
gracious.
And again, that's in the Memphis area.
Yes.
So that is not for us. Just to give you an idea of where that is, you can see those storms off to the south and southeast of Memphis, to put that into perspective. All right, let's dive in. I know a lot of folks want to know what is the forecast? What is the forecast for the river levels? So the setup is we have this front that's nearby. This has been the culprit all week. We knew it was going to be a stationary front wobbling about, nothing to pull it out of the area because of high pressure that was set up off the East Coast, funneling in plenty of southerly winds and moisture that gave us that tropical moisture and the Gulf moisture that spread up into the area. And yes, the tremendous amount of rain has been on that conveyor belt, which we'll call the front, with area after area of low pressure streaming up along that. Finally, this front will be working its way through during the day tomorrow.
Trains on a track. Finally, that track will get a move on. The heaviest rain will wind down by sunrise tomorrow morning. So by the time I'm talking to you on Wave News Sunrise starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, the heaviest rain will be exiting Wave Country. Having said that, It's still going to take a little while for this front to totally clear our area. So we still have rain in the forecast throughout the entire day on Sunday. But as we've discussed so far tonight, the rain tomorrow is not going to be as heavy as what we've experienced for the last 3 days now, which obviously the flooding issues aren't going anywhere, but we may not have to worry about flash flooding as much tomorrow, which are fast rises in those floodwaters.
And boy, that's good news, because that sometimes just catches you off guard. You have no time to prepare for that. Let's talk about how much rain we've already had. I think you're going to be surprised at some of these totals to our south. Some areas, these are radar estimated totals, but some going as over as 15 to 20 inches of rain close to the parkways. Now, here in Louisville, what was our latest total?
Latest total, the actual measurement from the airport was around 5.8.
Okay.
We've had the latest update we got was around 4:30 this afternoon. We'd had less than an inch of rain going back to midnight. I'm sure that's gone up since then. But
so close. So
long story
5 to 6.
Yeah, long story short, we're around a half a foot of rain going back to Wednesday night.
Yeah, and if you remember, we were saying we should probably get anywhere between that 8 to 12 inch total. Obviously, that underperformed for a few folks and overperformed for a few others. But in general, that was not a bad forecast, knowing that we were potentially looking at historic flooding coming into the area. Consequently, we have thrown many of the rivers, streams, creeks, everything out of their banks, and we've got flood warnings for just about everywhere, along with that flood watch that's been in place since Wednesday as well. Our river levels have the potential to also go into flood stage. When you see the squares, it's telling you that's where it will be or where it already is in some cases. So the forecast is certain. The circles are indicating a 30% chance of it reaching that level. So you'll notice that we could, along the Ohio, still see the river go into major flood, but it's a small chance.
It's a smaller chance on the Ohio to go into major flood compared to the Rolling Fork, which is already in major flood, already seeing the worst flooding we've had along the Rolling Fork since that flood of 97.
Yeah, and speaking of the Rolling Fork, Nelsonville right there, and you can see the water is up, no question about it. We've got lots and lots, thanks to Amber for sending in this, lots and lots of your images coming in, and boy, we appreciate those. How do you get them to us? Easy to do.
Wave Weather app. You scroll down just a little ways, you can submit your photos right there in the Wave Weather app, and we actually recommend that you submit it on the Wave Weather app. That way, that's your green light for us to share your photos or your videos on any of our platforms, be it here on Wave Weather Now or on the television side of things. We'll also, from time to time, pin a post on our Facebook page that says, hey, you got any photos of what's happening where you are? Put them in the comments. That's also a good way to send us your photos and videos as well.
Yeah, we can pull those right off and show them into our system here, which is nice. Here's another one that came in from Tiffany Sims. This is Cartwright Estates down in Lebanon Junction along the Rolling Fork. This is close to the Bullitt-Hardin County line, right along 434. And boy, again, it doesn't take long for that water to really just rise. So we appreciate that. The Rolling Fork really can expand. I know that because I lived along the banks of it. A good friend and almost family, the Howards down in New Haven. In fact, the other side of the family is family. Let me show you. We have some video from New Haven. This is my hometown, and it's not out of the question. The store you're looking at in the distance just past the railroad tracks on the right used to be Howard's General Store, and that would have been my uncle's family. And on the side of that, they've marked almost all of the floods of recent times anyway. Of course, 97 takes the lead on that. They're not there, but they're only about 2 feet from it.
Yeah, not far away at all.
And you're going to see the camera pan around just to show some of that water into the downtown area. And then just behind that building you're looking at is the Sherwood Inn, an old historic inn and now restaurant. And then, of course, you have some of the other businesses that typically don't flood on the right-hand side. Really has to get bad to get that high. But as we, again, get the drone a little higher in the air, you're going to see a few places that are underwater and a few places that are built up over time, including in the distance there, the IGA or the grocery store. And they've built that up to where it would be out of the flood plain. And while you can't get to it, at least the building itself is not flooding.
So what road are we looking at here that's going up and down on the
So that's
drone shot here?
31E.
That's 31.
And that takes you to Athertonville.
Mhm.
If you were to keep driving, you'd go into Hodgenville. So we're looking just right down there. The center of town is pretty much where the drone is over top of. And you'll see the drone flip around to the right-hand side. And in the distance, there is the Rolling Fork. So that is the river. Again, looking down on the Sherwood Inn and the Howard General Store, the water is extremely high. In some residences down through there, but most of the homes are spared by the floodwaters. Probably because that's the Kentucky Railway Museum. Of course, folks have been down there for Thomas the Tank Engine and all of those things.
Right.
And again, not into the at least work part, but some of their buildings do get flooded. This is in the back of the bank, and you can see water coming up into that area, but not into the center of town, which is that area right there. And that's Main Street and Center Street of New Haven. And then, of course, many of the residences, and in the center of your screen in the very back, that's St. Catherine's School. Many of the residents in that direction are not flooded, and that's the good news. But as the drone comes around, you're going to see a lot of cropland that has been flooded. And as the drone swings around, you can see not only that part of the downtown area, but then along the railroad tracks and along, of course, the Rolling Fork that is just inundated in water.
So kind of eyeballing that, how does this compare to 97 or 2010?
So they're still about 2 feet less than 97, but they're still going to get another inch or two of rain.
Right.
So it will still rise. You know, for instance, Boston is running at what, 52 point, their forecast
is
52.5.
They're around 50.5 right now.
Yeah. So if they reach their crest at 52.5, that would be just about 2.5 feet shy of where it was in 97, which was the all-time record.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
So that was New Haven. Again, pointing out some of your pictures. We appreciate those. Let's take a look at Frederickstown. This is in Washington County.
Same story.
Boy, it all looks the same.
It does. Unfortunately, it sure does look the same. Thanks to Dalton Carney for sending this drone video to us. Yeah, that's unfortunately going to be a common sight across the Commonwealth in the days and weeks to come.
I just hate that.
Yes.
You know, Louisville is not going to escape this either. So we have the ability to see what that flooding looks like. You know, about, oh gosh, what was it? A year ago, they released information that we're going to look at here. Some folks are claiming it's exclusive. The fact is, this is public data from NOAA, and this is the flood inundation. And it's only going to get better because they're going to work eventually to put in MSD data and a lot of other things. So while it may be in its infancy and it will get better, the fact is we can see where, based on the river forecast, where the water may expand.
If you think about a good analogy for this map we're about to walk through, think of the storm surge forecast when we're talking about landfalling hurricanes. Similar concept here. We're looking now, though, at how much of that flood water from the Ohio is going to inundate parts of Louisville and southern Indiana.
Let's take you on a little tour. This would be the river in its banks. This would be normal, you know, levels.
Right.
And then as we incorporate the rainfall we have and what's expected, you can see that water expands and starts to come into areas along its banks that would typically be dry. In some cases, covering roads. In some cases, getting in homes.
This is the reason why, folks, Thunder over Louisville is not happening next week.
Yeah, you could see it.
Look how far.
The data brings that water, and some of this is already here, but it will bring it up closer to like Slugger Field, where some of the roads down there get cut off. Same story as you work your way off to the north and east.
Up towards River Road, up towards Prospect, Captain's Quarters. Very popular restaurant. A lot of you know about Captain's Quarters. Look at it.
Yeah, Harrods
cut
Creek,
off.
swollen.
Harrods Creek.
I mean, we're talking Guthrie Beach, Transylvania Beach, Juniper Beach, Goose Creek. Of course, folks that live in these areas, and there are a lot of homes down through there, they know this, that this is part of living on the river. But boy, I'll tell you what, it's got to get old if you have two in 1 year. And we just flooded many of these folks out in February.
And here we go again.
Oh, and this one's going to be even worse.
Right.
So,
and you also notice Utica, Indiana, just across the river, or across the state line, if you will. well. It's going to be underwater, and parts of it will be as well.
We'll take you back to New Albany. Those folks, too, especially along Water Street and Floyd Street and those areas, that gets inundated when you're talking the rain that we've had. So those are going to be some of the roads that get flooded. Continue back downriver.
Further downstream, Highway 111 in southern Indiana, eastern Harrison County. If it's not closed, it's going to be soon. I think it already is. The casino. No casinos for anytime soon.
Yeah,
there in southern Indiana, it's closed off as well because of this high water. And
then we look downtown.
Yeah, further downtown, River Road is going to close. It is going to close very soon. You will not be able to get off from I-64 to River Road. And this, again, is part of the reason why there's no thunder next week. Even if these floodwaters do recede by next weekend, think about all the debris that's going to be left behind. Of course, the floodgates at the 2nd Street Bridge are up for the first time since the 2018 flood. Yeah. So this is truly a historic flood across all of Wave Country, including here in the metro.
Yeah, I think some people think, well, it doesn't seem that bad. Probably hadn't rained that much, has it? Well, again, this is a timing thing. It will take some time for the water to rise. But yes, it has rained a tremendous amount. While we haven't received the core of that rain here in Louisville, areas to our south have, and a lot of that water, even that we've received, will cause the Ohio to rise more. Let's go through some of the gauges that we have, and you'll notice the forecast expected to crest on the 8th. What is today? The 5th? So this would be Tuesday. So we're looking at Tuesday afternoon. Again, notice how the line flattens out. That would be rare for it to stay flat, so that just probably means there needs to be a little more data come in to decide whether that's going to go up or down at that point. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go up a little bit more from that 68.1 feet. Again, may not mark a crest, just marks where the end of the forecast goes out to at this point, and that's what we'll have to look at. When we get into that moderate flood, a few things happen.
This is mainly focused on the impacts in the western parts of Louisville in particular. So Dixie Highway floods from the Snyder Freeway interchange all the way down to West Point, right there on the Jefferson-Hardin County line. Yes, Jefferson and Hardin counties do intersect for a small portion there, but Dixie Highway will be impacted by this in far southwestern Jefferson County all the way down to West Point. On the other side of the riverfront parks in Clarksville and New Albany, they are going to be underwater. Another popular site usually for thunder, it's going to be underwater.
Yep. We have the McAlpin upper gauge, and that too continue to rise. Right now at 24.54, expected to go another 10 feet above that. So we're just now crossing over the line into minor flood, but that will continue to climb into the moderate flood as well. That's where we start to see Utica Pike flood. Duffy's Landing in Jeffersonville is a good point of reference for that. Parts of Utica in the town itself. And then we always talk about that 3rd Street ramp off of 64 closing.
It will certainly close later on this week. Also, the beaches, you go up River Road towards Prospect, towards Utica, they're cut off. Limekiln Lane also gets flooded south of River Road. So this is a much more widespread flood as well compared to what we had back in February too.
Yeah.
In addition to being a more significant flood, obviously.
And speaking of significant, you can see the forecast still climbing. It's now at 49.63 feet in Boston. These are measurements that we have, and this is forecast to go to 52.5. The all-time record there was 55. At 50, Boston gets cut off 3 to 6 feet deep of water in west and central parts of New Haven, which we've seen.
Right.
So you saw the video from that. We're already seeing a lot of these problems that have been underway.
And that Highway 434 that we talk about, the bridge in Lebanon Junction, I believe we had a Facebook photo that we showed a few minutes ago of that bridge underwater at the Bullitt-Hardin County line.
Right. Yeah.
So everything is on track, unfortunately. This is going to be a major flood. This is the highest forecast crest, if it verifies, for the Rolling Fork since that flood of 97.
We've been keeping an eye on Rough River as well. Rough River at Rough River Lake. This is the first, only the second time in history that water has gone through the spillway.
Right.
And that happened earlier today. You can see Rough River at 527.42 feet, still going to climb to 531.54. That takes it just shy of major flood. Even at the moderate flood, the flood pool and the spillway at that elevation, North Fork Park is closed. Water access over the road in some sites of the North Fork. If it were to hit major flood, which it did, this is the highest it's been. That was 527.4, and that was in 2011.
Another significant flooding spring as well that year in 2011. So when we say historic, this is what we're talking about. Now we go to Taylorsville Lake, the Salt River in particular. Right now, it's in its banks. So far, so good. It's currently forecast to stay that way. We go to the Green River at Green River Lake. Same story, staying within its banks. But again, that is very much an exception rather than the norm. We go a little further down the Green River towards Mumfordville. You notice the current measurement. It's very, very close to getting into moderate flood stage. Right now, it's in minor flood. It looks like that forecast crest is going to be sometime tomorrow, which is good. But even so, in minor flood, you're talking about water entering Mumfordville City Parks near the bridge on Highway 31W. And again, it doesn't look like it's going to go into moderate flood, but if it does, a lot of the agricultural lands around Hart County will start to flood as well.
Yeah, and again, we just have to keep a close eye to see where those waters go. Let's take a look at the Kentucky River at Frankfort Lock. This too forecast to go to major flood at 41.72. It's already in major. It should go close to 47 feet by Tuesday morning. What's that mean? Major flood. Paul Sawyer Drive, East 2nd Street, East 4th Street, Admiral's Landing, all flood. The entrance at McDonald Ferry Road floods. The campground at Still Branch Road is closed, and warehouses along Great Buffalo Trace Road also flood.
Logan Street also closes. Norton Street, Murray Street. The Riverboat Landing is flooded. And again, if these roads don't sound familiar to you, remember, we're talking about different parts of the region. We're focusing on the impacts in Frankfort with the Kentucky River already in major flood. Here's the Blue River at Fredericksburg.
So now we kick to the Indiana side.
We're going to Indiana now. It looks like the Blue River just now crossing into minor flood. That means parts of Fredericksburg and Fredericksburg DePaul Road, I should say, near the Blue River are getting covered as we speak. Fortunately, it's expected to crest in minor flood and then start to recede early next week.
Still probably see another rise of about 2 feet on that river. The Patoka River at Patoka Lake. Again, a lot of our lakes are okay. The one that was spilling over was the only one that we've seen is Rough River at this point.
Yep.
Let's take a look at the Muscatatuck at Vernon. That too now in action stage at 12.41, could go up to 14 feet. That would be 3 feet shy of the minor flood. And then the Muscatatuck at Deputy, that too going to stay in action stage, which is really some good news. And one more to look at for you, and that's the East Fork of the White River. That one will be climbing, should reach into the major flood at 36 feet. And at 35 feet, we start to see some problems.
And notice how we talk about a major flood on the East Fork of the White is unusual. It is very unusual. There may be some evacuations needed. Of course, we've had some folks evacuating along the Ohio River here in Louisville. Some evacuations, I'm sure, taking place down in Nelson County, too. That could certainly be the case should the East Fork of the White River get into major flood, which it is currently forecast to do. As we get towards, let's see, the 9th, that would be, what would that be? Wednesday, early Wednesday morning at this point. That's the latest forecast. Let's put it in table form. These are kind of some of the main rivers that we're really going to be focusing on heading into next week. Obviously, the Ohio River forecast to be a moderate crest. And then the Rolling Fork River near Boston in major flood already. It's going to crest in major flood. The Green River and the Salt River also need to keep an eye on those too.
Yeah, and I just put on some of the comparisons of years past. Sometimes this gives people an idea of what to expect. You can see the upper level of the Ohio at 35.6. That's going to crest close to that 2018 reading that we had. That was a February rain and flood that we had moved through. That was 35.72. And then on the lower gauge, while we won't reach that 97 level, we're only going to be 3 feet away from it. So it's been a while since we've even been above 68 feet. And that's where we will be on that forecast crest early to mid next week in the upper 60 feet category. So that's rough.
97 is a common most recent crest of this level. Just
Yeah.
to give you an idea of the context of how historic this is.
Yeah, Mark is asking about Shepherdsville. You can see its current reading
Mhm.
or forecast is for 35 feet for the crest on the 7th. And the last time we had something near that would have been 40.92, and that was in 97. So a lot of these not quite as bad as 97, but they would probably come in second, third place to 97. These, in many of our communities, will be a top 5
No
to
question.
top 10 flood for sure.
The Green River at Mumfordville, that's kind of an exception. The most recent crest that we can compare to what we're going to see this week is 2010. That was the significant flooding event we had on Derby weekend, as I recall. Southern Kentucky saw significant flooding around that time in 2010. That was when Nashville was underwater. Downtown Nashville, Broadway was totally flooded out. The mall was flooded out. That was that flood that we had back in May of 2010.
Well, speaking of Nashville, Gerald is saying, hey, I'm in Nashville and heat alerts on multiples. I-65 should be fine returning home on Monday. So, yeah, that's just it. The waters will continue to rise in many of these creeks, streams, and rivers. And that's certainly the case here in Louisville. Now, we continue to watch our colleagues down in Memphis. They've got a massive tornado that's on the ground.
Goodness.
Yeah, and this is, don't confuse New Albany with our New Albany.
Yes.
This is in Mississippi.
Mhm.
So we continue to see these storms push through. This has probably been the strongest of the day. This is a large confirmed tornado on the ground. It's moving to the northeast, moved right through that little town of New Albany. And then you see Concord, it's right over top of. That's moving at the northeast at about 35 miles an hour.
Heads up to my friends in Northwest Alabama. I feel like I've had to do this a lot.
Yeah.
My former folks down there in North Alabama, keep an eye on this if you live in Colbert or Lauderdale County, Alabama. It's heading in that general direction. And let's be clear, back here in Wave Country, this is where the severe weather risk is going to be the rest of the night. I think we could say now with confidence that south of us, the severe storm threat, it stays well south of us. Our main focus here at home tonight is going to be the heavy rain and flooding. That severe storm risk is done.
Yeah, let's listen in. This is our sister station, WMC. It's Action 5 News out of Memphis, Tennessee. Ron Childers leading the team there.
To the
We'll
far
listen in.
southeastern corner of Tippah County over here now. So this is moving back across into the Mid-South right now as far as our Action News 5 coverage viewing area is concerned here. So this is a serious situation right now in southeastern Tippah County right now. Clariesville, Dumas, Pine Grove, yet again, Locum.
If Eric mentions your street or your community name, you need to be in a storm shelter or a place of safety right now. Eric, go ahead.
And again, you're listening to Ron Childers from WMC Action 5 News, our colleagues out of Memphis, Tennessee, tracking a tornado on the ground moving through northern Mississippi.
County Road 649. All these are county roads. 619, 624, 623.
And they're doing what we did on Wednesday night.
617,
Sure are.
Tracking the storm.
Last Sunday night, too.
Oh, yeah, where we had 5 confirmed tornadoes.
Mercy.
I'm going to turn them down just a bit and we'll listen in, and then we'll get back to them as we need to. So let me turn them down just a little bit, and then we'll keep listening. Let's take a few questions while we have them up on the screen.
Yeah, we'll get it popped up over here on my monitor. We'll answer some questions. Oh, I got disconnected from that computer.
I can pop them up
Okay,
here.
thank you.
Yep. Let's see.
There we go.
Sarah's saying, my father's the district manager at Speedway. They're going to close the store tonight. Not sure exactly where that is. Oh, in Shepherdsville, she says. So, again, problems along the Salt River, spreading even into some businesses that we have. Some folks just popping in, asking for updates. The severe weather threat for us is essentially over, but the flooding threat is nowhere near over. We still have a lot more rain to get through. Let's see. We've got Melanie saying, my son lives in Meade County. The only road to his house, Scott Hill Road, is flooded. Now his basement has water in it. Oh, boy. I tell you, the flooding waters that get into the homes, that's the worst because it just gets into everything.
My parents' basement has flooded. I believe they've lived at their house for over 20 years. I think it's flooded 8 times.
Oh, my gosh.
And I told them last weekend, I said, it's going to do it again, because it just seems like once you have these significant rainfall events, they always have to deal with it,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that is such a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It's true. It's
it really
true.
is.
It is.
It's just a mess.
It is.
Let's see what other folks are saying. Monica's saying, great show. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
You know, we've done a lot of these over the last few days in particular, but we always do them. Well, we do them daily. Brian's in here every morning between 9 and 10. It's our weather blog that he does, taking your comments and questions, giving you the long range forecast. We pride ourselves on being able to look out far in advance to give you that first alert. And boy, we've been able to hit that with a lot of these alert days, in
Yes.
particular this year. I think so far this year, we've had almost 25 alert days. It's just how active it's been. And that's just since January, and it's just early April. So that's tremendous.
How about some good news?
What's the good news?
The next 10 days, you know how many alert days we have, folks?
Zero.
0.
Thank you.
None.
I'm going to show you the 10-day coming up, and we'll also take a look at some cooler temperatures that we have. So we'll do that coming up. And we're not finished with the rain. We have Sunday's rain to
Right.
talk about too. So
Mhm.
we'll do that. All right, let's take a few more questions here. They are talking about shutting down roads in Rough Falls. I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't
mean,
either.
That
Nope.
water is getting high.
Mhm.
Across the river, ZK, Deems Lake, they're having flood issues as well. I wouldn't be surprised. The Salt River in Shepherdsville is rising too. All
Yes, it
rivers
is.
around the area
Yeah, yeah.
are rising, no
Right.
question. So if we didn't mention your specific river, that means we don't have a gauge there, or at least the graphic ability to show it. But all rivers are on the rise with this rain moving through.
Little creeks as well. If you have a smaller creek nearby, no doubt that could be flooding quicker because it's a smaller stream, kind of a younger stream, like we discussed earlier.
Yes, I'm going to put router 1 here. I'm
Sure.
gonna take that, and then in that, let's see.
We have a lot of buttons.
Yeah, we do. I wanted to put the radar in
There you
between
go.
us.
So again, that severe thunderstorm warning for Adair County is over. And the severe weather threat for all of Wave Country is also over. So we can now really solely focus on the heavy rain and flooding threat going through this evening and overnight tonight.
Yeah.
And beyond.
And that's true. And you know, I don't know if Bill's still here, but he's like, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something, Bill.
Oh.
We've been working around the clock for days. If you don't want to listen to the river levels and you don't want to listen to the forecast, there are other places on the World Wide Web to go. Sorry.
No, Bill's been a nice guy on some of my streams on weekends before too.
Really?
Yes,
Well, here,
yes.
we'll fix Bill. I never block people. Bill, goodbye. Just knock him out.
Bye,
Once,
Bill.
once I get tired, I don't have time to,
I don't
to
blame
deal
you.
with that.
I don't
We're
blame you.
working as hard and as effective as we can. Go somewhere else.
Mm.
All right, let's jump to it.
Just be nice, guys.
Well,
Just be nice.
Oh, you're talking to me?
No, I'm talking to them. Don't put me in that spot.
Why so many tornadoes down there? And I assume they're talking about the bullseye that have been moderate after moderate from Arkansas through western Kentucky, West Tennessee, northern parts of Alabama,
Yeah. Well, remember.
or Mississippi and Alabama.
Right. And
Mississippi in particular.
Western Tennessee earlier tonight as well. So the way this front is oriented, it's basically stalled out right on top of us, right? That means the juicy warm sector, if you will, or these supercell storms or these severe storms in general like to thrive, that's been south of us for the most part. Obviously, Wednesday night was a huge exception to that here in Wave Country. But since then, the better ingredients for severe weather have been compressed to our south because of that location of the front. We're in the spot where we're going to see the repeated rounds of heavier rain, where we have seen that, where we are seeing it tonight. So the better environment for those severe storms and unfortunately stronger tornadoes, as we're seeing right now, has thankfully the last few days stayed south of us.
Well to the south.
Yes.
You'll notice Michelle asking, heard they're evacuating people in West Point.
I don't doubt it.
Probably that's
Yep.
a flood prone area when we're talking about, close to, or at least a second flood compared to 97, that you would want to get out. So
Right.
it's a good time to go. A lot of people have been told to go now. The rivers are only going to continue to rise. Monty is asking, where can we go to see current rainfall totals? And it's tough to see rainfall totals for the
Yeah.
whole, what we call storm total precipitation. The radar
Right.
shows us that, but you'd have to search that out. So
Yeah, you'd kind of have to do some digging, unfortunately. There's not necessarily a good, succinct way to talk about entire storm rainfall totals when you're talking about 3-4 days like we are now. I guess soon to be 5 days with tomorrow's rain coming in. I will say on Wave Weather Now, the live stream that we have 24/7, there is a map that pops up every so often, pretty frequently actually, where we look at rainfall totals since
For the day.
since midnight. So that's a good way to give you an idea of how much rain you've seen on that particular day. Otherwise, quite frankly, it's a little tricky to get rainfall totals over an extended stretch. You might have to do a little math, go day
Add
by
'em
day and add them all up. Yeah.
Oh boy! Again, my basement's steadily flooding. Listening to the
sorry.
rain, that's got to be a terrible sound to hear when you're still trying to get the water out if you can. Braden saying, I don't think I've ever seen four straight days of alert days. Very rare.
Very
unless we're
rare.
in a
It's happened.
in the heat. Sometimes it's happened.
Mhm.
In severe weather, if we think that's going to impact plans, it has happened. But boy, it is rare.
There's never been, I don't believe, maybe there was a heat wave before I began my time here at Wave, but I don't think there's ever been 4 straight days that far out.
No,
You know what I
and
mean?
not with such multiple modes of weather.
Correct.
You know, I mean, we've had severe each day
Mhm.
and we've had flooding.
Right.
So 2 different things to look at. Tammy says the Western Kentucky Parkway closed in both directions at White Mills exit in Hardin County.
Yeah.
That certainly was the case yesterday.
We showed video this morning, I think from Dustin Knight.
Of that truck going through.
Yeah. So that's not surprising either. And again, even if the flash flooding threat winds down tomorrow, the flooding as a whole is going to linger. So it's going to take a while for a lot of these flooded roads to be drivable again.
Tanya says Hanover Beach is flooded.
Mhm.
We've got Jonathan saying Utica, Pike, and Jeff around Duffy's Landing already closed.
Yeah, we were talking about that area earlier as well.
Michelle saying she submitted 2 photos of a creek by her home. We appreciate that.
Yes, thanks, Michelle.
Kaylee is saying, so we can now breathe. Well, some folks can. If you're not in a flood area, you can breathe in terms of severe weather being out of here, but the flooding is going to last quite a bit longer, I'm afraid.
Yep.
Brandy's asking, my friends in Alabama, how bad is the tornado threat there?
Northwest Alabama in particular is where we need to watch tonight. Of course, if you live in the Huntsville television market, we have a sister station within Gray Media, WAFF. Brad Travis, the man, the myth, the legend in North Alabama. He'll
No, Brad, very well.
be watching those severe storms roll through, excuse me, as we go through this evening and overnight tonight, probably.
Beverly Hornbeck, water in Youngers Creek is coming up fast. That's where our family farm is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Excuse me.
it floods easily. So yeah, that's a rough area
Yeah.
too that gets completely flooded. A lot of farmland down there. Well, we appreciate. Thanks everybody for saying.
Yes.
we
thank
appreciate that. After I kicked, what was his name? I don't even know his
Bill.
Bill, Bob, whatever his name
Bill.
was.
Mm-mm.
I got another name.
Don't be Bill, folks.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here we go. This is what I want.
Casey saying Highway 56 in French Lick is closed.
There it is. Thank you.
Mhm.
March kind of went out like a lion, huh? Yeah, kind of did, didn't
It
it?
is April, isn't it?
Well, but when all this started, it was last week.
It
right?
was still March.
When we had the tornadoes on last Sunday.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I bet you're looking forward to a weekend where you don't have to come in here.
Well, it's crazy. I went on vacation and I came in, I think that weekend, and
Yeah, you did.
And then it was like I went on vacation, I came back, and I was back in the next day. So I feel like I haven't had a vacation, though I did have one.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and it's like, whoa.
Goodness.
And we've been here ever since, I think.
Yeah, we live here. We'll start charging rent if we're not careful.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
I'm trying. A lot of folks are commenting on Bill or Bob or whatever his name was. So I'm trying to get past these. Here we go. Let's,
Oh, boy.
Chris Bowles down in E-Town. Might be obvious, but E-Town mayor says city, county, and states are out of barricades for this area.
Wow.
Not always obvious. That's a good point because
is a
the
good
fact
point.
is some people, they just drive into it. They're like, well, I didn't see a barricade. Well, okay, here's the word. There may not be barricades. Don't drive into the water. And that's true. We see it happen time and time again. And
Yep.
boy, I hate that because it's easy. It's easy to avoid.
It is.
And it's so easy to get caught in. So I mean, it's a two-pronged deal. And if you drive into it, the odds of bad things happening are
Are
even
high.
greater than
Yep.
a lot of other type of weather emergencies.
Mhm. Yep.
Todd Richmond. Geez, do you have a sister station on Mars by chance? We've got 113 of them. Well, I guess 112 would be one. But no, none on Mars. But a lot around here.
They might be working on that.
And speaking of, Ron is still at it. He's calling out some towns and times. This is that tornado that's on the ground. This is in northern parts of Mississippi.
They've got multiple tornado warnings now, kind of embedded supercells. There's multiple.
Yeah, right in that same zone.
Mhm.
And you can see them there on the wider view. Just north of Tupelo.
Mhm.
Going to affect Ripley and Corinth.
This is just east of Oxford. So if you have any connections with anybody at Ole Miss University, this is no longer an issue for them.
We got that camera at I-22 and the Toyota plant back up.
Take
So
it.
that's
Let's
what. So we're
Oh.
looking back at that storm, the new one that just
See
got
the
a
lightning,
new
yeah.
tornado warning push on.
This is,
a second ago.
You
So
might
we're
have heard
looking
Patrick
back
Ellis
towards
say this is
Albany.
along
You can
Interstate
see
22 in
there are
northern
a lot of
Mississippi.
folks who have
I-22
stopped.
connects Memphis to
Again, I
Birmingham,
think
Alabama,
this is
for
from the
reference.
standpoint that they've heard that something has
Yeah.
happened. And I
You
just
can
saw
see a lot
some
of people
pictures
like, well, we're not going to go any
Mhm.
further. Hazard
of
lights
trees
on,
down,
pull
power lines
over.
down. That's the extent of it right now. We'll see what goes from it from there. I did text one of my friends down there to see what's going on and try to figure out. I don't know if he's in town or not, but we'll find out.
Okay.
But as far as this, you're looking back towards the storm that's coming up from the backside. So this is why we're saying New Albany again. You need to
Again,
be in
not
a safe
New
place.
Albany,
Yes,
Indiana.
know
This
anybody in
is
that area, you gotta give them a
Mississippi.
heads up. The other thing too is the other storm to the north. It has been in a cycle. It's trying to redo itself.
Regenerate.
It's trying to get
Yeah.
itself
Mhm.
back
It sure
together.
is.
It kind of fell apart as it moved into the southeastern tip of county. It's about to move into northwestern portions of Prentiss County, near Boonville, and then eventually up into southern areas of Alcorn County. Rienzi would be the next town on in
It's-
that general vicinity.
It's going to start running into some rain cooled air because
For
we've
folks
got-
jumping into our stream, we are watching our colleagues down in Memphis, Tennessee. You see some of the power crews coming up. I don't know if they're just like on standby following the storm or what the deal is there, but it's kind of wild to see. But we're watching our colleagues, Patrick Ellis and their chief meteorologist, Ron Childers, out of WMC. It's Action 5 News out of Memphis, part of our same network of stations from Gray Media. And I've known Ron for a long, long time, and we're just dipping into his broadcast here as he walks his viewers through a tornado that is on the ground. This is a massive tornado that has had a history of producing damage, hail, and certainly very strong winds that has been producing damage. We also saw damage from our sister station, WSMV, with our colleague Lisa Spencer down there that have already had some damage to a number of places.
Yeah, that was in Dixon County, Tennessee, which is about 30, 45 minutes west of Nashville. There was a pretty strong indication of a tornado in Dixon County around 5 o'clock this evening. So we don't know for sure yet if there was tornado damage or straight line wind damage, but there was certainly some issues there west of Nashville a couple of hours ago. We continue to listen in to our friends at Action News 5, WMC TV in Memphis, as they track these embedded supercells, basically. In other words, they're supercells that are kind of in a line together that are still producing some significant tornadoes. Heads up, Northwest Alabama. Please pay attention to this. If you know anybody down that way, give them a call too.
Chris says Ron's seniority gets him out of the suit. Yeah, right. And into the polo. He's been there for
A long
well,
time.
when I say been there, I mean both in terms of hours in this stretch, but for many, many years too. Ron and I, back when Raycom owned us, we would always travel to the conferences, and great guy. Let's listen in. Their coverage is saving lives, no doubt, with this tornado that's on the ground.
Thursday morning, once it starts to pop yellows like this is a tornado.
That's a
I mean,
tornado. Yeah. New Albany, you're in the path again.
Not New Albany,
All right?
Indiana.
Beacon Hill,
I feel
you are in
obligated
the
to
path
say
Yes,
that.
of this.
absolutely.
So get to your storm shelter.
This is a
We've got
new
another
tornado.
potential
Yeah, see it.
tornado.
Some
is
folks
coming
asking, is this a
right
tornado
through New York
emergency?
right now?
And
Uh,
frankly, the
Clearview,
tornado that
it's
is the
really
strongest
right on
is the
top of
one moving
Clearview. It is
to
just
New
about to
Albany,
be
but it is not
right
a
on
tornado
top of Eagle
emergency that
Mark.
I see.
If you
No, it's not
are
at this
along
point. It may
Highway
be very soon, though,
15S,
unfortunately.
15 South, you need to be in your storm
Um,
shelter. County Road.
somebody was asking
97,
about our,
it's in it. County
A
Road
list of all
94,
the gray
you're
media
just to the
outlets.
north of it,
I think
but
Michelle
it's
was
coming.
asking that question.
I think if you go to
on its way
graymedia.com,
If you go to-
you can watch them all there
likely
too.
cross
You sure
Highway
can.
22. Guys,
Is it
you think this one's
graymedia.com?
gonna
It is,
say
right?
south
I think it
of
is.
New
I don't know.
Albany?
Look up-
Looks like
look
it
up
may
Gray
be
Media.
Or it might be Gray Media, gray.tv. How's
Okay.
that?
Okay. So just look up Gray Media. You can find the full list of all 113 stations in our company. And
Gray.tv.
Gray.tv.
Gray.
Yeah, Gray.tv.
Scroll down, view markets, click on the map. You can watch any of the 113 stations there.
Yeah. That's what I did when I was a kid. I mean, I did the exact same thing. I looked up different stations and parts of the country, and
There's,
Watch
there's,
their
there's Ron's coverage right there.
Yep,
Okay,
there you
all right,
go.
that's good.
So
That's good.
Gray.tv,
So
scroll
there
down a
is
little bit, you
for
get a
your
map of the
quick
US.
camera. Let's
and you
put
can
that
click
up
And
on-
you, and you want to know, you want to know
Station.
what else is on? If you go right into
And it's
to Louisville and you
we've
click
had
on Wave,
tornado on the ground
you see what
confirmation.
you're watching.
Another area of rotation.
It's
coming
kinda
in
awesome,
right
isn't it?
behind it. And this is similar
Fun,
to what
fun,
we
fun.
saw
Let's see
late
here.
Wednesday night. the
Jessica's
early
asking
morning
about
hours
Bullock
of
County. Are you
Thursday.
guys done with the severe storms? Yes,
Just
everybody
basically
is done
sell
with
after
severe
sell.
storms.
Training
But to
plateaus,
be
basically.
very,
We're
very
right there
clear,
on a boundary.
there is still a
So they're just
significant
riding
flooding
along
threat
a
that
little
continues through the
boundary
night.
that
And
is
then we
right
turn our
there between
attention
that
to the
moisture-rich
river flooding
environment
that will continue to be a
and-
major
but,
problem
yeah,
into
go
next
ahead,
week.
Eric. What do you got?
But the
So
severe
this is
storm
looking
threat
back at the
is
original setup
done.
right now. Okay, the one that we were talking about recycling. Yet again, once these yellows start to pop up, just going off of past experience with respect to here at Action News 5, this
This
usually means
again,
that there's a tornado
Action
on the
News
ground.
5 in Memphis. They're tracking a
There's
large
at least
tornado,
strong winds
maybe
on it. If
two
this was
large
more of a
tornadoes in
box
northern
shape right
Mississippi
now,
at the
that-
moment.
That would be extremely concerning.
It did pop a TDS, tornadic debris signature in southeastern Tippah County. So it did drop again. So it probably as it's in the exiting phase, there it is
Oh,
right
boy.
there.
Some folks asking about schools in Louisville. No, we won't have those
Southern California County.
probably until
Time to action
tomorrow
now.
or
That
Monday.
tornado
But the
is on
fact is, the
ground.
worst of the flooding will not be on
North
Monday.
northeast
The worst of the
across
flooding
Highway
happens
35 near
later,
Wayne.
at least along the Ohio. Now, some of the communities where you have Beargrass Creek, some of the, Floyd's Fork, that may already be high. But I suspect,
There's a little debris right
it's
there.
going to take a little while
I don't know if
for
it's
officials to get
outflow,
out
just
and
kinda
really
little
observe
debris.
those roads to see if
Right there.
buses can get through to see
Yeah.
what's flooded.
Yeah.
At this point,
Okay,
some of
that's the-
those
that's the
roads,
out- that's
the water could recede
The
down.
RFD,
So
yeah.
again, if we
So,
get any information on school
right there
closings,
around
that will
the grave,
likely
it
be
looks like
tomorrow.
something
And
may be in the air
obviously, we'll
floating
let
around
you
in the
know
air
on
there as
television and all of
well,
our
although
social
that may
media
be some
platforms
sort of
once we
tornado
have
thing.
that information.
Here's Matthew saying they play the wave weather 24/7 in Metro Safe in the 911 dispatch center. I noticed that. Yes, we work with Metro Safe. We appreciate all the hard work that those folks do, because when there is, well, on a daily basis, but when there's emergency weather, those folks are even busier than on a normal day. And, we try to give them the information that we have that they need, and we ask the same from them. So it's a hand in hand deal.
Yep.
We work with all the emergency managers, the National Weather Service. You'll never hear our team bash any of them.
Never.
It's just not going to happen, because we work as a team, and that would just be like, being rude to one of your teammates. Not on this team.
Mm-mm. It's not a competition with us and the Weather Service and Metro Safe. It's a partnership. That's what it's supposed to be, and that's what it will be.
Let's give some more communities their first alert as to where this is, where it's going. I'm going to take us back to this view here quickly. We've got a lot.
Appreciate
going
you all
on
watching.
right
Jonathan
now.
saying, I'm exhausted from just watching. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like weather fatigue sitting in, right? And I feel bad for our colleagues. I mean, Ron Childers and his team, Ryan Vaughn and his team, Jeff Lyons and his team, Grant Dade and his team. I'm naming our colleagues that are in Memphis and Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Evansville, Indiana, and Cape Girardeau. They have had it actually worse than we have this week, and we've been on a tremendous amount of time.
Mainly the severe weather has kept these guys on longer, insanely longer than what we've had to deal with. I mean, I came into work this morning at 1 a.m. and Ron was on the air with tornado warnings in Western Tennessee, and here we
I wonder
are.
if he went. I saw you this morning at 1 a.m. too.
Yes, you did. Yes.
But we weren't on the air.
No, we're
T.8.
Math is hard when
This will
you're
be the
tired. Let's
look
see. We're
at
20
that.
hours later, and
Here we go. I'm going to put
they're
a
still
wide
on the
track
air.
on this, fellas,
Unbelievable.
okay? Just to give everybody their first alert. And I think it is just south of 22.
Correct.
It's
Okay.
very
Here we
close.
go.
to-
It's
so they're
also
watching
playing
this southern
across it
storm.
right now.
I would say if you're looking down there,
That's what you're looking at. The
bottom
right
of that
side
hill,
of their
there's
screen
there's
is a
turn there.
traffic
It's
camera,
going for that
MDOT
turn.
traffic
So
camera.
if
This
they
again
go
in
west,
Mississippi,
it's
not
about
in
a
Wave
mile
Country.
away from that camera.
Beacon
Sounds
Hill,
like they may have a tornado
731,
down.
Storm
It's a
shelter right
potentially
now.
about to cross
Blue
Interstate 22.
Springs,
Oh, wow.
Storm shelter now, 736. It's coming your way. Alpine, 745. It's going to get into Bethany at 7.
Scott is asking, do you all know all the meteorologists and their sister stations? Most of them.
A lot of them.
I sit on an advisory board for our company for weather, and I have a chance to work with many of them. So yeah, we know a lot of them, especially the ones that have been around a long time because, well, I guess I've been here a long time.
Yeah, you have.
Too long in some cases.
Lee County, and that's going to move in and clip Alcorn County as it continues to move off to the
Ron
north.
Childers,
And
WMC.
that's what you have. I'm gonna put
It
a
is
loop on this and
the
just
Action News 5
take a
channel
look
out of
as we
Memphis.
continue to watch that live camera. Patrick, what's your
They
favorite
cover a
area?
significant
You wanna talk
area.
more
They
about
cover
that?
Western
That is being
Tennessee,
witnessed
Northern
at
Mississippi,
I-22
even
and
Eastern
Toyota
Arkansas. So
Toyota plant
you
in
can
Fort
imagine
Worth,
why they've been on the air
Mississippi. You're looking
so
towards
insanely
west of
long
St. Kennedy,
today.
you're looking at
Close to
Lake
20 hours
If it is
potentially.
on
Maybe I
the
should have
west
mentioned
side
also
of
Chris
the
Bailey at our sister station in Lexington. The fact is, I see Chris's work, but I'm always watching our colleagues to the west of us because that weather's moving in. So by the time it leaves us, sometimes I don't have a chance to take a look.
We haven't seen that just yet.
Actually,
Up around Mound
can
City.
we take the other T.B?
We also have a
I wanna
sister
see
station in
the Toyota
Bowling
plant
Green,
real quick. I just wanna
WBKO.
see
Yep.
from
For
that
those of you
perspective.
familiar with that part of the world,
Okay.
I interned at BKO
Let's
when
go
I was
back
at
to the
Western.
double box.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Shane
Looks
Hollandy.
like you
Very
kinda
nice.
see- you can
Hope you're
kinda
well,
see the
Shane, if
rain
you're watching
shafts
us tonight.
off
He's
the
running the
distance.
Mesonet
Yes, he is.
network across the state.
Mhm.
So
But again, the circulation is now on the right.
all right. Well, we're at 8:30. We're going to wrap this up. If you're interested to continue to watch Ron and his team's coverage tracking those storms down in Mississippi, again, if you go to gray.tv, scroll down, look for the Memphis television station. It's Channel 5 WMC out of Memphis, and you'll have the ability to check in. We're going to take just a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to point out what to expect for tomorrow. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Here we go. We're going to come back and talk about what to expect for tomorrow. So a quick 1-minute break. I'll reset the graphics so we can come back up with the forecast for tomorrow and the 10-day earliest alert. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And we're back with you here from the Wave Storm Tracking Team. Carson Meredith, Kevin Harned, keeping an eye on the rising waters all around us. We still have rain falling across the area. There's still rain in the forecast for tomorrow.
Thankfully, it's not going to be as heavy. We're trying to make this a little positive, right, as we close out this weekend. But unfortunately, that rain coverage will be widespread throughout much of the day tomorrow, around a 60 to 80% chance. The reason we have those fluctuations in the rain chances, we're going to have waves of on again, off again rain for most of the day. And you notice tomorrow evening, around this time, really, finally, will begin to dry out.
Finally, we could use a little dry time. You
Yeah.
see that heaviest rain for tomorrow moving through during the overnight tonight, early morning. Then it's that light rain that Carson mentioned, perhaps a few more heavier downpours in the afternoon, but those would be scattered. And then we're going to bring in some cooler temperatures, and that's where the northern area could mix with, I don't even want to say it.
Do you want me to say it?
Let's not even say it.
Okay. It's a small chance.
You
You
say
know what
it.
we're talking about. It's a small chance, okay? No impacts.
No impacts. But temperatures are going to be
Yeah.
cold. We're in the 30s by Sunday night.
And just wait until Monday night. There is a very good chance we talk about a widespread frost and maybe a hard freeze. That's for Monday night.
Great.
Yeah.
And everything's already budding out and blooming out. So you know what that means. More work. Cover everything up. These are the rain totals forecast from today through tomorrow. So another, 1, 2, 3 inches of rain for some. Again, not what you probably want to see, but that is what is in the forecast. And then, of course, we look at the temperatures that will go into the 20s for many, below freezing, even in Louisville. That's early Tuesday morning that Carson pointed out. That is the coldest of the period ahead. So let me show you that 10-day forecast. Oh, I put our inundation map in here again, just to point out that the National Weather Service has had this for a while, and it's a neat thing to be able to see where the water may rise to normal level of the Ohio, take it back. So again, this is where it would normally be in its banks. This is where, based on the forecast river levels, where it would go. So as we go downriver, you can see downtown Louisville. Yeah, not just the Great Lawn gets flooded, but several other places, especially over toward the skate park,
Yep.
that gets flooded out.
Maybe the parking lots at Lynn Family Stadium could possibly be in trouble.
You're looking at River Road, so we take you down through there where you see a number of those communities. Tough to see on the small monitor. River Green Circle, Mockingbird Valley.
Yep.
That's down toward the water tower there.
Yes. Zorn
Right where
Avenue.
you see Melwood Avenue come through.
Zorn Avenue will probably get closed off from I-71 in the next couple of days. You keep going further north and east. We mentioned Captain's Quarters earlier. I believe it's already closed. If not, it's going to be. Utica, parts of Utica, Indiana will get flooded. Harrods Creek, Juniper Beach, Guthrie Beach, Transylvania Beach, Goose Creek. Further in back to the west in New Albany, Water Street. How fitting, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Living up to its name.
Living up to its name. So this is going to be one of the more significant Ohio River floods we've seen around here recently. Further downstream.
Takes us down 111 as well, which we know floods out as you work your way toward the casino. And then, of course, we get back downtown. And this is the real reason Thunder was canceled. It's just a lot will be happening with the river as we look forward to this week into next weekend. So that 10-day forecast, you're going to see Thunder show up on it.
Well, we took it off.
You beat me to. Well, good. Very
We took it off.
smart. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
We took it off.
So there you have it. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s. We still have that ability to see some rain because we're not finished even Wednesday, Thursday. So even a little bit of rain on a flooded river can aggravate the level.
And early indications are, a couple of things. One, that midweek rain chance is just that, rain. And the rainfall amounts look lighter. By lighter, we mean a quarter to half inch at this point, which that's not terrible. But again, we are going to be so waterlogged. The flooding is not going to go anywhere. So it would, more than anything else, likely pause those flood waters receding by the middle of next week. That's why it may not be until next weekend before we get a lot of this mess out of here.
I'm blaming Punxsutawney Phil.
No kidding.
Isn't it hunting season?
Do I look like 100?
I'm not a very good one. How's that?
Somebody tell us in the comments.
I shouldn't even say that.
To get ahead of this, but it is
I'm dialing back into WMC, our sister station, before we go one more time because they are watching 2 tornado warnings, both radar confirmed.
Just coming up from the southwest of 45 as it makes its way from Prentice
Heading
County
towards
into southern
Boonville,
Alcorn
Saltillo,
County.
Mississippi,
That's gonna- I
Iuka,
think
Mississippi.
The majority of it's going to stay
I
south
cannot tell
of
you how
Corinth,
many
but
tornado
man, you're
warnings I've
close.
tracked
I-
You are close.
out of
Don't
northern
No.
Mississippi coming into North
This out,
Alabama.
Pat's asking when that rain will be out of Louisville on Sunday.
Really around this time,
We had
6,
one-
7, 8
one
o'clock. I think
2
a lot
days
of the
ago.
showers will
And it's been
finally
all in
be
eastern Arkansas,
leaving
all
the
northwest
metro and will
Tennessee,
be
northwest
totally
Mississippi.
dry
Today's your time.
just after
And now
midnight
for the
tomorrow
folks
night.
who are in
Tall
Eastern
Paul is
Arkansas,
saying, hey, volunteers
West
spent most
Tennessee,
of the day
Northwest
yesterday
Mississippi,
preparing St. Clair Church in
understand
Colesburg for the imminent
now
flooding
let's-
that will take
for our
place there
friends who are
over the
close to
next few
east now,
days.
they're
Appreciate
doing it. Yes,
all
we do.
of the
Very vulnerable to them. Of course,
volunteers.
it's been 4 or
I
5
know
days
it
that they've been
is
dealing with this
a
in
lot of
one city area.
work.
Yes, it
I
is.
know moving everything up, and then of course not only getting it back, but getting it back ready to get back is
Right.
very difficult.
I know several of our colleagues here at WAVE have had to leave their homes
Yeah.
because the Ohio River will be causing problems. So, again, we appreciate all of the volunteers across WAVE country for lending a helping hand. This is going to be a long recovery, unfortunately, for some of us.
I'm going to just listen in. We're listening
And
to
it looks like
Eric and Ron, Patrick
this
and
storm
Ron.
did try to produce a tornado.
We do have some damage. We have reports of trees and power lines down near New Albany. Right now, that storm
Not Indiana, that's New Albany,
together,
Mississippi.
and it is really starting to make a move toward 45. It's going to be crossing that. If you are in Baldwin, you need to be in your storm shelter right now. And look, these counties are just outside our official coverage area, but they are in close proximity. Many can still get us on, can get us through antenna. And you can also watch our streaming
antenna.
coverage on Action.
That's, that's sometimes the best way to get us,
It
right? I
is.
mean, nice, crystal clear, free picture. We like that too.
I don't think my generation understands that. That you can get a free digital or antenna
really.
TV. I'm
I
telling
thought that's where it was all going again.
I'm telling you, there's some folks my
because
age,
it's all streaming. I
that it's
guess.
streaming, and they're
Yeah, well,
like,
that's
well,
sort of
I don't want to get a digital antenna because I can just watch it on my phone. It's like, come on,
Well, that's true. Yeah,
it's true, but anyway,
Might as well.
in rant.
All right, listen, we're going to say goodbye before we get too slap happy here. We will see everybody tonight at 11 o'clock. We're going to look through the latest river level data. We'll have all of the new information you need. And we hope you folks get some rest.
Yes.
If you're living along the waters, we're thinking about you. And our crews are going to be out there with you for the next few days, sort of sharing the stories. And if anybody needs help, I hope you'll reach out so we can make sure that help is on the way. We appreciate you all, and we hope everybody stays safe. Have a good night.